Look at UFC.com. It's Halle Berry in the new movie Bruised. Oh, wait. No, that's Amanda Lemos. Really looks like.
That's weird. It does kind of look like her.
Kind of uncanny right there.
It's really weird. I didn't mean to blow the roof off of that. But
what just happened here?
Lemos is Einhorn. Einhorn is Lemos.
Which one is Finkle?
Finkle is Einhorn.
Well, it's not Rodriguez, definitely.
Einhorn is a man.
Marina Rodriguez is definitely not Finkle.
Finkle is Einhorn. Einhorn is a man.
It's time for the Pretty Neat Podcast. It's time for the Pretty Neat Podcast.
Welcome to the Pretty Neat Podcast. I am Aaron, and I'm here to have takes that makes no sense. But sometimes they do, because I'm an encyclopedia of random. And I think that that's a strength of mine. I'm an encyclopedia of random good points. Ryan is not an encyclopedia of random good points. He's just an encyclopedia.
Sure, we'll go with that. Thank you. It's very kind of you to say. I don't think that's accurate, but I'll take it.
An almanac?
Could be worse.
Could be worse, I guess. An almanac, like a farmer's almanac?
Yes. Could you imagine like a farmer's almanac predicting the UFC for the next year?
Well, it makes me think of Back to the Future and the sports betting almanac that he takes from the future back to the past, which was the present for him. And then his arch nemesis, Biff Tannen, who we should know or note hates manure, right? Don't know a lot of people that love it, but he definitely hates it.
Definitely. He's had more run-ins with manure than he has with the law.
You ever had manure in your mouth?
No.
I can't say that I have.
Okay.
Actually, no, I probably have on the farm. Yeah. Not cow, horse. Same. You fall. Shit happens in your mouth.
In your mouth.
How was y'all's house? Oh, and the last, of course, Dom, you're here too. You give us not only bad gambling advice, but you actually give really good life advice.
My favorite fictional character is the one-off from Family Guy. I think it's Al Funland, where he's like, "This is my park. I'm Al Funland," and it's stylized as Al's Funland.
I don't remember that at all. Shit.
Do you have a video clip you want to pull up? Because Biff Tannen has his pleasure paradise. That's where I got that.
Oh, that's totally right.
Yeah.
Al's Funland.
You got to throw in Family Guy.
Of course it wants my location. I'm probably going to bring up probably a fucking adult.
ALS in Finland.
Or Bob's Funland, maybe. Bob's Funland. Yeah.
That's me. I'm Bob Funland.
That's me. I'm Bob Funland.
That's awesome.
That's me. I'm Bob Funland.
How was y'all's Halloween?
Like the actual day?
Yeah.
It was a little anticlimactic. We actually got dressed up in a different costume. We had 3 buckets of candy ready to go, including full-size candy bars, because we're those people.
Nice.
We probably got like 6 trick-or-treaters.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Between the hours of 6:30 and 8:30, maybe 6, maybe closer to 10. But at some point, Ashley's like, I don't think anybody else is coming. I was like, yeah. And she got changed and got a little bit more comfortable. And then like 8:30, I'm like, I got it. Luckily, bucket of candies by the front door. Open the door, expecting to find like those like pre-teens that they're out later, they're still trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
They're probably a little too old to be doing so.
Not probably
Mhm.
they are too old.
Yeah, they
Carry
definitely
on.
are. Yeah, call back to last week's podcast.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
ones from Dom's class.
Yep.
You're
and
too
me.
old. It was a small child, a singular small child dressed up as a fireman or a fire person. And his mom is like standing by the curb, and I'm just like, oh, hello. And he doesn't say anything. He just goes, holds out this bucket. Like, yeah, here you go. Here's some Reese's peanut butter cups.
That's
Happy
a trend.
Halloween.
That's a trend I don't like. I don't know if you guys have
they don't say trick or
experienced.
treat.
Yeah.
I know, right? Little shits.
Okay, it's not just me, and it is getting
No,
worse
yeah.
every year.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like it. And you know what though? There's parents behind them. I think it's Gen X. It's a Gen X problem, right? And they're the ones on the curb going, "Say trick or treat." I'm like,
yeah.
what kind of fucking pussies did you raise? Like, all you're doing is walking up to a door, and you don't even have to say hello or something weird that you have to think of.
That
Hello,
question is almost
I'm a
rhetorical
ghost.
at this point, but your point is well taken. I have a 7-year-old with an ear infection, so we did not trick or treat.
Oh no.
Yeah, not fun.
Are you gonna like dump extra candy on her or do something to make it up with her or something?
No, my sister dropped some off today that she procured from my nephew, I'm sure, but I don't know. She wasn't even bummed about it because she just doesn't feel good. So,
Damn.
Yeah. When you're
I still have some full-size candy bars.
what kind?
Hershey's, regular milk chocolate, also with almonds, Reese's peanut butter cups, and I feel like there's one more, but I wasn't the primary candy passer outer. So I only got a quick glance. We also have some smaller Skittle, like fun size Skittles, which are like the backup candy. And
throwing
that's
$100
about it.
grand, we're set.
So the $100 is by far the best Halloween candy. Everyone knows that. But
Hey, that was going to be a question on today's show.
I like
frankly.
a good payday bar.
Ooh, I like Payday also.
You don't see them a lot.
No, and I like Payday for the same reason I like shit. There's another bar that's a bunch of letters. It's all the letters. It's like Scrumdiddlyumptious or something like that. And it's a lot like the Payday. Payday's the shit. Also Babe Ruth. Good Babe Ruth. I'm a fan.
Baby Ruthie.
Ruth, baby.
That's
sloth.
a Sandlot reference.
That's 2 weeks in a row with a Sandlot reference.
I know. I don't know.
Only
what it
here,
is.
folks.
And I
Only
told you
here.
guys that the Sandlot doesn't hold up. And it's
And
true. It doesn't.
The best part is that that's a Goonies reference.
Oh,
So
another
Baby
terrible
Ruthie?
movie that I've never seen.
Baby Ruthie?
Oh
It's
yeah,
not.
Baby
It's-
Ruthie
it's
is
from the
totally a
Sandlot.
that is from the Sandlot. That is totally from the
It
Sandlot.
said this ball, it was signed by some girl.
Baby Ruthie?
Baby Ruthie?
Yeah, I
You
mean, Babe Ruth is definitely like a top 150 baseball player of all time. So
That's funny. We had lots to this year was kind of one of those years it felt like a little bit of redemption. It wasn't raining for the first time. There
Wow.
wasn't a plague. And people were out. Like I actually had a neighbor stop by, hadn't met, and was just like, it just feels normal for a year a little bit, which was pretty cool. And this year, man, it was all about gore. We probably had like 30 to 40 trick-or-treaters
Okay.
over the course of
pretty
like,
good turnout.
yeah, like 6 to 8. Around 8, they all really stopped. And tons of gore. Like I remember Avengers and Stranger Things were popular a couple years back, and Transformers, your kind of typical things, but this year was just bloody clown, murderer. It was pretty gnarly. Not saying it was a bad thing. I was wildly entertained.
What kind of candy did you give out?
I go variety all the way. You name it, I gave it out. We had Sour Patch, Swedish Fish, Snickers, Milky Way, M&M's, Butterfinger, Reese's, Smarties, Tootsie Rolls. But we're not quite as high class is full size.
Shout out to
But-
the mixed bags.
Yeah.
Big believer in fun.
It's a
size.
cornucopia of candy.
Yeah, totally. And we had most of it, well, half of it was gone on Saturday while I was watching fights.
That's the problem, is I can't have it around. And then I always am like, all right, I'm not going to eat any of it today. And it's like, well, if I just have one, and then the next thing I know, there's like 50 empty wrappers around me, and I'm like, what did I do?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have any Snickers left for Halloween. You know, I only had one type of candy from the bag.
That's right. You gotta freeze the Snickers. That's the move.
Ooh, yeah, it really is.
It's
You know,
fun
they had
because
the frozen Snickers with the ice cream built into it already.
so that's
Oh.
delicious also.
Yep.
What I like about freezing a Snickers is there's a minimum 30% chance you're going to chip a tooth every single time. So, you
Yeah,
know,
you like to gamble.
I live on the edge, you know.
Anything riskier would just be freezing Butterfinger.
Okay, if you're eating Butterfingers, I have a series of questions for you because they're disgusting. So
Really? You don't like Butterfinger?
I'll eat one of the little squares every 3 years and I'm all set on Butterfingers.
Yeah, it's something about the combination of that flavor texture.
Yeah.
Just- I
Yeah.
don't- it's not good.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm in the minority when it comes to
You're
who
a-
likes Butterfingers.
You're a Butterfinger lover?
I'm I'm into Butterfinger stuff. What can I say?
Hey.
I'm gonna go ahead and give a Butterfinger plug real quick. So
Whoa.
get your
Wait,
hand
a
off my
plug
butter-
with a Butterfinger? I don't.
a Butterfinger plug.
You got to be careful with that. I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta. You gotta.
I did spend Sunday, as I had been planning to do for a couple weeks. I don't know if you, Aaron, you probably know this, Ryan. I don't know if you know this about me. I have a deep, intense, emotionally unhealthy relationship and frankly chemical dependency on pizza. Did you know that about me?
Yes, we have talked about you making your own pizzas as you have like a wood fire
Yeah.
oven that you can put
Yeah.
on the grill.
So
Is that
that was my Sunday, and
How many did you make?
5
Five pizzas?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now not huge ones. They're the type you would order at a restaurant for somewhere between $13 and $17, but it's just for you.
Got
Right.
it.
So like it's the perfect
personal
amount if
pizza.
it's the perfect amount for a reasonable human to consume in one sitting.
And we all
Now-
know that you are not what we consider to be
Reasonable?
No, you aspire
Reasonable.
for greatness.
I aspire for better than reasonable. So the three of us ate pizza, and you know what? It was some of the best I've done, I gotta say.
What is a Dom perfect pizza?
Well, okay. One, that's an offensive question because there is a perfect pizza, and everyone should have the same answer. Because there
margarita
is
pizza?
a what?
The margarita.
That is in fact, sir, the only answer.
Really?
Yes, of course.
Wow. So top it off for me because I love margarita pizza. I'm not going to contest that it's a great pizza.
Yeah. So right. So Chris, Google search Chris Bianco for me.
Ooh, is it Chris Bianco pizza?
So this guy has won Best Pizza on Earth a number of times. His restaurants are in the Phoenix area. I have been to one. They are wonderful. I copy his dough recipe as best I can. I don't have access to the actual field that mills the flour that he gets his from. But I
You don't
do-
import Manhattan water?
No, he doesn't actually. And it turns out a lot of wheat goes to Italy from Arizona, which is where he is. I did not know that. Anyway, Netflix, they have a show called Chef's Table,
Yes, I
Yeah.
watched it.
and they have a pizza one that is brand new, and he is featured in the very first episode.
There you go.
I watched that
so-
one as well.
You saw his episode?
Yeah, I
Yep,
watched
so-
the whole thing.
If you find yourself in the Phoenix area, make a point to go to his restaurant. It is as good as they say or better. So I have his cookbook. Scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
Right there.
Chef's Table Pizza or the
No,
Bianco?
the Bianco across the middle. I think it's called Pizza and Other Recipes I Like.
No, the pizza that says Bianco across it. It's a
down.
cookbook.
Down.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, that's my cursor. I'm sorry. That one.
Got it. Yeah.
So I copy his margarita pizza pretty much exactly. I do hand crush the tomatoes myself, just like he does. Fresh basil plant. Most of the time, if my basil plant is going, they come from that. I make the dough the same way. I do all that stuff. I have a couple variations of some of his stuff that I do. I also did a prosciutto arugula pizza with just an olive oil base that was like a showstopper if I don't say so myself. And
yeah. Hey,
honestly,
that picture, Ryan, that I sent you of Dom and I air frying was probably from
not air frying.
Sorry,
frying.
we were deep frying. We were not air frying.
That was probably 2010.
Yeah, that was probably 10, 11 years ago. So believe you me that cooking and cooking discussion amongst Dom and I has gone back a ways. We actually, that was a deep fry party. We hosted like 10, 11 coworkers came out and we made up batter and different seasonings and deep fried stuff. It was fun.
So I just sent you guys the only picture of my pizza that I took. Maybe not the best angle, but I'm still working on my presentation, but most of them do end up kind of looking just like that one on the top there.
Yeah.
And it's, you know what? It brought me joy in an otherwise miserable day.
Yeah.
Well, why was the day otherwise miserable?
You know why the day was miserable, and I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it was a divisional game.
I don't understand. The 49ers pull this, they pull this little dink dunk trick bullshit against the Rams every time, and it works every time. And the last 3 games, save for the NFC Championship game, which we still have, effectively, you know what the Niners are going to do. The Rams, if I know what they're going to do, I would think certainly the Super Bowl winning regime that runs the Rams also knows what they're going to do, and they just can't figure it out. And it drives me so crazy. And then Sunday, I kind of thought they were going to win. They were hanging with them. They were leading. And then fucking Tyler Higbee drops that pass. That was probably going to be a 65-yard touchdown. And that was pretty much it. It's so, I fucking hate them so much. And their fans are completely insufferable. And even the fucking commentators, they're like, oh yeah, the 3-5 49ers have as much talent as anyone in the NFL. Like, what are you talking about? They're 3-5. Have you seen the Bills? You're telling me they have as much talent as the Bills?
The Bills are fucking loaded, and
the Bills are gonna. What are you talking about? They have as much. They have handsome Jimmy Garoppolo is as good a quarterback as you can have. Like, I'm sorry, Patrick Mahomes is calling. I'm gonna fucking take his call, or any other of 15 quarterbacks that is inarguably better than him. I can't even tell you how angry it makes me. Anyway,
I mean, this is an excellent segue because the Rams were actively trying to shop Cam Akers, right? No trade partner, trade deadlines passed.
Well, yeah, because who wants him?
I don't know, somebody that really needed the running help.
He actually is kind of a change of scenery guy. A team like Vegas, I think, could. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you saw all the trades that went down, right? That the Dolphins went all in, right? They got Bradley Chubb from the Broncos. I mean, they're going to have to lock him up, but they gave up a lot to get him. He is an excellent outside linebacker. They picked up Jeff Wilson Jr., who is now expendable because McCaffrey's in San Francisco and Elijah Mitchell is coming back from injury. So that's good for them as well. The Vikings taking Hawkinson, who I thought is a pretty good tight end. And the Lions are just like, yeah, we don't think we're going to win this year.
How do you think they reached that conclusion?
By losing.
Yeah.
Who did they beat?
Surprisingly enough, I think they were.
It was someone good, wasn't it?
They were fairly competitive. Scroll down to the Detroit Lions and click on them right there.
What frustrates what the Rams are dealing with right now, Ryan, is what happens when a team wins the championship is other teams are less willing to deal with them.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe they're like, no, I shouldn't say that. I mean, they gave up all their draft capital.
No, they offered a 24 and 25 first rounder to the Panthers for that outside linebacker Smith, and the Panthers said no.
Well, he's
And
probably
they-
still on a rookie deal.
And I
probably a great talent.
believe they offered even more than that from McCaffrey, and the 49ers ended up with him. And I just think we see it with the Lakers. We see it with like the Houston Astros. Like nobody's trading the Astros anything good because they're already so loaded, even though they're getting blown out right now.
Yeah, they're getting smoked.
When teams are the Lakers, or the Celtics, nobody's trading Milwaukee or fucking nobody's like, oh, how can I help Denver out? Like these teams that are already pretty good, nobody's doing that. Speaking of, do you see what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets coaching situation?
Dude, yeah. I mean, like
How, Aaron, you're gonna love this story.
how fucking wild in like a short term, right?
So weird.
My.
So
Oh geez, yeah, top story.
yeah. So what you have to understand about this guy Udoka, M.A. is that his first name?
Yes.
Yeah, M.A. Udoka. In his first year as the Celtics coach, so the Celtics had a fucking, I hate to say it because I hate the Celtics more than I hate communism, and I hate communism. Had a really, really excellent coach named Brad Stevens, like truly world-class coach. And then I guess he just kind of woke up one day and was like, you know what? I don't want to do the bench coaching anymore. I want to run the team from the front office. And he just kind of promoted himself. And the people who own the Celtics were like, yeah, sure. Who are you going to hire to replace you? And he hired this guy. Well, in his first year, he gets them to the NBA Finals. Okay, very cool. Then some videos come out from a Ring camera of him pulling up to somebody who works for the team's house. The wife of this person who also works for the team opens the door, and Udoka says something to the effect of, "Are you ready for your dick down?" And
Yeah.
proceeds to give it to her, I'm assuming. And
The dick was down.
and then I think he had, there was super romantic. And I think he had a relationship with another staff member's wife, and some people think it was the team president's wife. Anyway, so the Celtics don't fire him. I don't know, it's rarely talked about, but the coaches in the NBA anyway do have an association similar to the Players Association. It's not nearly as powerful, but they have one. So I don't know if there was some reason they couldn't fire him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
But-
have to find some sort of like quid pro quo going on. Like otherwise, two consenting adults, if it's not
Well,
a violation of company policy.
But it was a violation of company policy is the problem. Apparently he wasn't allowed to do that.
Hey, let him go. Go to
Well,
another team.
they didn't fire him. They suspended him for the whole year. And then the Brooklyn Nets, who are a literal dumpster fire, akin to my beloved Los Angeles Lakers, who also have 2 of the 7 or 8 most talented players in the league and Ben Simmons, and just can't figure it out. Let Steve Nash go because Steve Nash was never equipped to be a coach. Fuck Steve Nash. If I saw him in a hallway or in a back alley, I'd punch him in the fucking face. The Celtics go, you know what? Or the Nets go, hey, we'll take him. And the Celtics go, okay. So Udoka is going to become the head coach of the Nets now. And the Celtics aren't going to stand in the way. They might get some draft or cash compensation for him because he's technically under contract from them. But yeah.
Yeah, that might be a compensatory pick. However, like if you're that organization and you're willing to take on that type of scrutiny,
You mean the
hiring
Nets or the Celtics?
the Nets?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Nets. Because the Celtics, right? They're like, oh, we can be rid of this guy and we'll trust Brad Stevens to pick somebody who may not be as tactically sound or creative as a coach or playmaker, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Right? You want to get yourself as far away from that situation as possible.
Yes, you do.
And the Nets are like,
Mhm.
yeah, we'll take him.
Send him north or south a little bit. Would that be cool?
Do you want a draft pick for that? How about a
Yeah.
second round pick? We'll give that up for a coach.
Come over to Brooklyn. You're our type of people. That's funny.
It's all of our team executive wives are warlocks, so it'll be fine. It's really, honestly, it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting situation. I don't
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
But he's still going to be. I mean, is he suspended by the team or by the league?
No, he's suspended by the team. I don't think he
So the
broke any
Nets are going to
league
be
rules.
like, oh yeah, dude, come right in.
And here's the thing. Who cares who he's dicking down? He's an excellent coach.
And that's
Let
really
him
what the Nets are saying.
Do it. You
We
know what I
wanna
mean? Like,
win.
fuck. What would you rather go 2-6? It's like, look, I'm an Angels fan, right? I hate the Houston Astros. They cheated to win a World Series. The Red Sox probably did too.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma and I have argued about this until we're blue in the face. Would you rather cheat and win the World Series, or would you rather win 71 games out of 162? Give me the cheating in the World Series.
Does everybody know you cheated?
Yeah, who cares?
You'd probably be
You'd have
fine.
an you'd have an asterisk. next
It's
to your
not like
name.
okay, so
Yeah.
fine. You
Does
can't
Barry
see
Bonds care?
you can't see it on Aaron's screen, but just in this picture of these two gentlemen celebrating is the checkmark Nike logo. What
That's
would
it.
you rather be? Cheating using technology to steal pitches, or wear uniforms made by little children in Taiwanese sweatshops? You tell me. Which one's worse?
They're both pretty bad.
I mean, you put it that way, they're both bad.
This is unbelievable. Let's
Is it?
cheat and win.
Cheat and win, huh?
Cheat
If
and
you're
win.
not if you're not cheating, you're not trying, as they say.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Angels are like, hey, we have a talented young pitcher. Let's have one of our public relations employees, who's also like a pretty high up in the organization, get 22 years in prison for funneling him fucking amphetamines. Oh, and by the way, Garrett Cole, stud pitcher for the Yankees, is going to use one of our clubhouse guys to get the sticky stuff he's not allowed to have. But don't worry, we have the two most talented players on earth and in the last century, undebatably, and we're going to sputter to 71 wins every year. That's better. Okay.
it's
No,
not,
it's fine.
not with the accoutrement that goes along with having the two best players in the last 100 years on the same team in their relative primes
At the same time.
at the same time.
And not relative primes, absolute primes. Mike Trout hit fucking 40 home runs and he missed 35 games in the middle of the season.
Trout is
That
amazing.
dude
That's
is
so
such a
insane.
stud.
That's so
he's
insane.
amazing. And you could reasonably argue, and I would, that Shohei is even more amazing in just what he's able to do.
Yep.
On the topic of baseball,
Go
World
Phillies.
Series, it's happening. Go
It is
Phillies.
happening.
Yeah, go Phillies.
Woo!
They have two players that they procured from the Angels in at the trade deadline in the middle of the season. One of them hit a home run tonight. Good for him. So Brandon Marsh, he's the
Mhm.
guy. If you watch any of the games, he has the crazy long hair and the crazy beard. Super stud defensive player. He hasn't quite figured it out on offense yet, though he's hit a couple of big playoff home runs. And Noah Syndergaard, who I love too, was on the Angels for the first half of the season. So
Isn't his nickname Thor?
yes. And do you know why?
Because he had long blonde hair and he's fucking huge.
And he's of Norse descent.
And I fucking love it. I'm here for it.
And he drinks raw goat's milk and imports his duck eggs from an organic farm and is like meticulous about the way he's just a legit, he just little shit that the Angels didn't have for so long. So now if you go to an Angel game, you can see it, but they show it on TV sometimes. When the starting pitcher for that day is warming up in the bullpen, the other starters are there like for support. They didn't do that. That was a Syndergaard thing where he was like, what kind of clown show bullshit is going on here? No. The five of us are a unit. Or six of us in the Angels case. We support each other. So we're going to go fucking out there. And if we see his arm slot dropping just a bit, we're going to say it or whatever the case may be. So he brought some good stuff in his short time. He was well respected by the fans while he was here too.
You guys played baseball when you were kids, yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah. What did you play? What position?
Aaron, do you think I'm a fast runner?
No.
No, I'm not. So it was first base, corner, outfield.
I was gonna say I could see you at first or third.
Yeah.
Like I could see
Yeah.
you being stretchy Like, quite frankly, you have long legs.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, you played baseball.
For a little bit, yeah. I played
Yeah. Yeah, you're fast.
I
See?
played second base. I tried to pitch for a little while, and then I really wanted to be a catcher. I just wasn't
Yeah.
really good at it.
Oh man, I fucking loved playing catcher.
So difficult to do.
Yeah, I was a pitcher and catcher. And I played first base for half of a season, my third season. But man, I loved playing catcher.
Until injuries ended your baseball career in its tracks.
Nah. Injuries ended my football career in its tracks when I was 14. But baseball, I loved playing catcher. It was way cool. I had one of those like game ending, slide into home type moments where my dad was there,
That's cool.
and like I had to hold the ball up to the ump in the fucking dust cloud. My dad was like cheering and shit. Probably the last moment I enabled him to feel pride.
He has that moment like framed in his office.
Right. The good doctor. Man, do you remember that time 20 years ago when you slid in? It was just like old Benny the Jet. Yeah, another Sandlot reference.
So my dad has it's either a 70, 71 or 72 Chevy C10 pickup truck that he has had since the year it was brand new. And he sent it out. It was like a cool maroon color, and he sent it out to get painted, and he just sent me pictures of it. It's a fucking amazing like dark blue now.
Ooh.
And my siblings and I all have like a fight going for who gets it when he dies. And I am ready to stab one of them to get that truck. So it has a restored 305 block engine, 353 something.
Game of driver's seat.
Block engine, like drag racing engine in it. The paint job it needs some work on the interior, and it's going to be like a full resto mod. It's fucking awesome.
Ooh,
he sent me
that's
pictures
awesome.
of it last night in the new blue. I was
You
excited by it.
You should send it to me. I'll post it to the Pretty Neat Podcast Instagram.
No, don't do that.
I'd blur the plates out.
I don't even know if the plates aren't actually even on it right now.
Yeah, even better.
I don't know if you guys are car guys, but I am, and it's
Yeah.
ooh.
I like driving. I am a fan of driving. I
You're
would
not
go.
allowed to drive.
Don't tell everyone my secrets.
My oldest brother is convinced that he gets it, and no, he doesn't.
That
No,
he's a
you
car guy.
Do you guys have any type of relationship where if somebody like puts the dibs on it, that's how they get it?
Well, so it's really been a hotly debated family topic. My oldest brother is 5.5-ish years older than me, and he insists that he was promised it when he turned 16, when he was about 13. Now, I wasn't there for that, so I can't confirm or deny. What we know for sure is my stepbrother in between the two of us does not get it. My youngest brother sure as shit doesn't get it because I'll just take it from him. And I actually don't think my other brother, who's just a little bit younger than me, even really wants it. So it's really just down to the two of us. And we'll have to figure it out. It's going to be weird.
Yeah. Well, shared custody.
And there's no chance he dies before my mom, right? So it won't go to her. So he's going to have to make a decision at some point.
Oh, boy. How do we segue into UFC Fight Night from that?
I have a UFC topic I'd like to talk about that's not really related to Fight Night.
Okay.
Jared Vandera had a rough night. Chase the Dream Hooper also had a really rough night.
Super rough.
Yeah, dude, Chase Hooper He's really just not on my prospect list anymore. He wasn't after his last fight, frankly. He just looked like he wanted to try everything he learned in class and forgot he was going to be fucking fighting somebody. It's like everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face, right? He just like he didn't adjust.
Well, so you know what? It's interesting you say that. So he won his last fight in May. He's actually like since 2020 lost one, and lost. And he fought on 3 numbered cards at that.
He's just young to me. Gotta grow.
Yeah, he's still only 23.
Yeah.
You said didn't know when to use all the stuff he's learned.
Well, it looked like he wanted to, wanted to try it out,
right?
But he got interrupted by offense.
Wanting to try everything and knowing when to use everything are 2 very different things.
Very, very.
And to me, it seems more effective if you just have the straight up unbeatable hammer like Makhachev or Ngannou. But that does kind of segue into my thought is, did you guys watch Jake Paul Anderson Silva?
Yep.
I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the whole fight.
Okay.
Did
you watch Uriah Hall, Le'Veon Bell?
I watched the whole thing, yeah.
Nope.
Okay. What did you think of Hall and Bell, Aaron?
Frankly, if Hall hadn't won, I wouldn't have been surprised either. He looked like the better boxer, if you will, despite the fact that he didn't look like he was scoring as much. He also looked like he was getting hit more than I thought he should have. Hall looked very big and quite a bit slower than I expected him to. But his transition from MMA thus far looks better than Silva's did. Like Silva in his last boxing fight, what was that? Chavez Rudy fight? Silva in that fight and in this fight looks like he wants to throw a knee. Like, and it's like he's holding back. You can tell that Silva is not adjusting to the new sport, which is he's an older guy. I feel like that's probably all it is. And you know what? If Hall keeps boxing and when he fights a real boxer, he'll lose. Just like Jake Paul. I still think when he fights a real boxer, he'll probably lose too.
Okay.
But Paul looked better than I thought he was going to look. But a lot of that though is because Silva looked worse than I thought he was going to look. And that's
okay.
You know, what can you do?
Okay, that's fair. You took a little bit of a different approach than I was going to. And I think we talked about this. I really felt like Uriah Hall should have looked way better.
Yeah.
Than
Where was the
Le'Veon
jab?
Bell. He should have looked way better.
You know what? And he was he was countering a lot. He was not. That bothered me quite a bit. You know, you are the combat athlete here. Show some fucking offense. Set some traps.
Yeah. So
there's only 4 rounds though. So
which to me is even worse for Uriah Hall.
Yeah, because he looked exhausted.
Yeah. No, he did.
He really did.
So then I was thinking about that, and then I was thinking about like, okay, part of what can happen, and I do think this is applicable to Bell and Hall in a sense. If Uriah Hall is expecting like a traditional boxing match, Le'Veon Bell was not doing that. Le'Veon Bell like multiple times did like running back juke moves to get away from Uriah Hall.
Oh yeah.
And if you're expecting a guy to box you and Le'Veon Bell is doing that sort of thing, you're going to be like, wait a second. You're going to kind of look worse than you probably should, because you're trying to play the game the right way and they're playing it the wrong way. It's like poker with 4 of, say you've got, I don't know, 7 people at a table, 8 people at a table, doesn't matter. And like 4 of them don't know how to play at all. They're going to win some hands because that's just like the way math works.
Yeah.
Right. And
They're
so
gonna stick
you
around.
then, even though you're trying to play the right way, they're playing the wrong way. So you have to adjust and kind of play the wrong way too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I kind of thought maybe some of that could apply to Le'Veon Bell and Uriah Hall. But then I watched Jake Paul and Anderson Silva. And through the first 2 rounds, I thought, oh, Jake's really going to have trouble hitting him. And then he really didn't have trouble hitting him. And it got me thinking, okay.
That lunging jab that Heath was throwing was
He's
so
got some power,
effective.
man. He's got some power.
Yeah.
So then what I thought was, okay, we just have to accept that these are such different sports. Even though there is some comparison because they're both combat,
Mhm.
boxing and MMA are so different. Because Jake Paul has been boxing for not even 3 years. And he just beat Anderson Silva. And he beat it. That is not a questionable decision. That was a comfortable unanimous decision. He knocked him down.
Yeah.
Maybe Silva won 3 rounds. Maybe you could even talk me into saying it was like 4-4, but the knockdown. Okay. It's probably 5-3. It's actually probably closer to 6-2 as far as rounds go.
Yeah.
And so then I started thinking, okay, I kind of think maybe Jake Paul is just, it's a rare situation where he has some natural ability. He's obviously got access to the best coaches. By all accounts, he's very dedicated to it. And when you put him in there with a guy who's not actually a boxer and is nearly twice his age, he's going to be able to win.
Yeah.
Then the problem is he gets on the microphone and he says, don't let anyone tell you can't do anything. Hard work, dedication. You can accomplish anything. I'm all for that. Then he goes, Canelo, where you at? And it's like, oh, see, I was this close.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking, what if he could beat Canelo?
Well, now rumor mill is the big ka-ching fight. You know what it is, right?
Connor?
No.
Nate Diaz.
Nate Diaz.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a big ka-ching fight. And I think Jake Paul starches Nate Diaz.
I think it's more competitive than that. I don't think it's necessarily Nate's fight to lose. I think it's competitive. But like Nate boxed for a long time. Like Nate is a boxer also.
So Jake Paul is a lot bigger than Nate Diaz.
That's the thing though, is that he is so much bigger. Like
to me, it's gonna have to be a striker along the lines of like,
it's a boxer, right?
I mean, fuck, put him in there with I'm literally looking at middleweight and light heavyweight rankings right now.
Oh, and by the way, I watched, like, of course, because it came up, I watched like 3 or 4 of Fury's fight. Not Tyson, his little brother.
Tommy.
Yeah, because there was a lot of discussion about him and fighting Jake Paul for a period of time, and Jake Paul looked totally competitive with that guy.
He didn't fight Tommy Fury.
No, they were like going to, like they had words.
Yeah. So like what would be intriguing to me is if Jake Paul fought like Dimitri Bivol. Now, Bivol fights at 175, but you'd imagine he could get to like a 195 catch weight, right? That, or even Alexander Usyk or something. Like, as crazy as that is, like, and then Jake Paul also said, like, they're gonna say I haven't fought a real boxer. Well, that unfortunately for him, that's true.
Yeah,
and
they're gonna say the truth.
The story is, he said, apparently the story is Eddie Hearn tried to throw him a guy who is like 2-0 professionally, but is like 18-0 and an Olympic gold medalist as an amateur. And Jake Paul's camp immediately turned it down.
Yeah.
Because they must know, like, I don't think we're ever going to actually see him fight anyone really even close to his age and who is an actual, like, even top 15 boxer. But ultimately, I want to see it. I want to see what the difference is, because this MMA thing is not working for me. I have zero confidence that Nate Diaz can beat him. I'm not even sure, because of the size difference, Connor could beat him. Although I heard someone break it down today and they were talking about Connor his punching power, the fact that he's a counter puncher would give Jake Paul all kinds of trouble, the way he manages distance. That would also be his problem with Canelo. Canelo's like the ultimate power puncher.
And Paul had trouble when they were in close.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously Canelo Alvarez would beat him.
Yeah.
That's fucking ludicrous.
Yeah.
I don't think Nate Diaz does.
It'd be fun. I mean, it would sell a lot of pay-per-views. That's for sure. And I mean, like, the people that are watching it are the UFC fans. Like, they're watching it to see Jake Paul break. So it's not boxing fans watching this stuff. It's us.
Isn't that what we used to do though with Floyd Mayweather? Like, we wanted to watch his fights to see him lose.
I think everybody gets to that point. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I remember like maybe a fight or two before Weidman fought Silva. It was kind of like, geez, after he fought Damian Maia and kind of looked like an asshole, when is somebody just going to beat Anderson Silva already? You know,
Well, I mean, we kind of got to that point with Khabib a little bit.
Gets there.
Kind of got to that point a little bit, or I'm at that point with John Jones. Stylebender, fucking Francis for sure. But there's two versions of it, right? With Francis, it's like, can anyone withstand what he does and figure out a way to beat him?
Yeah.
With even with a guy like Makhachev, it's going to turn into that. Is like, you know exactly what he's going to do. Is there anything you can do to stop it? I'm inclined to say no, but
no. Reviewing, just kind of like capping off all of the excitement from the past weekend. Now that we're approaching, what is it, like next week we have another fight night. Lemos and Rodriguez, which was supposed to be Mitchell Evloev, and then we have UFC 281 already, which is awesome. And by the way, UFC 282, if you haven't looked, because a lot of fights got moved to it, is stacked. Like, UFC 282 is gonna need an episode and a half for sure. But unfortunate, in the main event, Calvin Kattar succumbed to a knee injury that he obtained landing on it really fucking wrong at the end of round 1. And I mean, Arnold Allen just kicked it once. He didn't even kick the same leg. He just kicked Calvin Kattar's other leg to make him put weight on that knee, and he was done, over by TKO. There's been like 4 or 5 main events this year that ended in injury.
Yep.
It's wild. Because this is Aspinall had the knee, Ratchich when he fought Jan Blachowicz, Brian Ortega when his shoulder popped out against Yair, TJ Dillashaw with his stupid shoulder that he lied about, dickhead. just a whole bunch. Like,
Derek Lewis sustained head injuries.
That's true.
That kind of counts.
That was during training though.
Yeah, kind of counts. A lot of decisions on the card, but I thought Max Griffin looked good. Khalil Roundtree, I was honestly kind of surprised. I thought Jacoby looked good in that. But Roman Dolidze and Marcos Rogerio de Lima had some great finishes in the first on the prelims. Unfortunately, Ugly Joe Mahomes lost to the Turtle.
The Iron Turtle.
The Iron Turtle.
Wait, who is the Iron Turtle?
Jun Young Park.
Yeah, so that's a fantastic nickname.
Yeah, it really is. It might be up there on the top. And that is a great Halloween costume idea for next year.
What's the best turtle? We kind of got into this earlier.
I still think I'm partial to the sea turtle.
Have you ever seen one in person, like in the wild?
Yeah.
They are so big.
They are.
And in Hawaii, if you touch one, it's like a $10,000 fine instantaneously.
I had no idea. And that's where I saw one in person was I was like waist deep in the water and saw a turtle just swimming on by.
They legit are they're just out there. It's so weird.
That's weird.
And they're so big. I think snapping turtle.
Snapping turtle?
Snapping turtles are pretty cool.
Well,
what is the best turtle?
Have you ever seen, there's like turtles, correct me if I'm wrong. Turtles are water based, right? And a tortoise is land.
Yeah, for all
Correct.
for all intents
Desert-
and purposes.
Desert tortoise.
Yes, yeah. So like we have the turtles here in Texas, right? And they're in like every bottle of water that there is. There's fucking massive turtles, sewer cover size. And they fight over like logs and branches and sunbathing spots. So you can find these hilarious videos online of turtles fighting for sun. And they just fall off logs and they're so slow, but they just use their leverage to push each other off.
That's pretty fun.
And it's hysterical. If you ever want to have a good time on YouTube, besides listening to the Pretty Neat podcast there, which you can also look at videos of turtles fighting for sun tanning spots. It's worth it.
Turtle fights.
Which, by the way, the best turtle is Donatello, for all of those who are curious.
So the San Diego Zoo has what they call a colony of Galapagos tortoises. Most of them have been under the care of the keepers of the San Diego Zoo since 1928. And many of them are well over 100 years old.
Jesus.
Tortoises, man.
That
Why are we
is
hacking into their
so
genetics?
wild.
That's yeah, it is.
Dinosaurs.
They
That
are.
is so crazy to think about.
Or don't parrots live like that long too?
Not quite that long.
The macaws can live like the equivalent of a human life, I believe.
Oh wow.
That
The males-
they're often willed to family members.
Yeah.
They will outlive them.
Could you
Males
imagine
go-
being willed like a 40-year-old tortoise? And they're like, by the way, this thing still has another century to go.
Yeah.
So
Here, it's yours now, and they just
Like-
bring you this giant fucking blue macaw.
It's
You're
like-
like, what?
I live in an apartment.
The males will go 570 pounds. That Galapagos tortoise. That's pretty fucking cool.
Jesus.
Oldest recorded one was 171 years old.
whales. There's like some whale that was found that was something like 300 or something.
Are you
right?
talking about the like Iceland shark or whatever?
Yeah. There's some shark or whale that they are confident is something like 200 or 300 years old.
The Greenland shark.
Is that it?
I think so. I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Let me see here. They are, according
This
to
one
the
says the bowhead whale.
Wikipedia.
That sounds clear. See, that's why I
They're-
jumped to
they're
whale
only
first.
found in the Arctic, and they can be found to live over 200 years of age.
That's it. I think that's
You're
it.
talking about the Greenland shark? It has the longest known lifespan of all vertebrate species.
Now I'm talking about the bowhead whale.
Maybe it's one of those. They should duke it out.
They think that the Greenland shark reaches sexual maturity at about 150. That doesn't
What is this?
even make sense.
Like fucking Baby Yoda.
And they're just, I think it's a combination of like cold water and size and the fact that
Yeah.
they don't.
Metabolisms are probably just in slow motion.
But it doesn't even say how long they actually live.
That's crazy. Just uninhibited life. Meanwhile, I'm like looking
One
at
of them had lived for 392 plus or minus 120 years. They
Well,
think
that
it was
margin
born
for-
between 1504 and 1744. And they documented that one in 2016. Get
Okay.
the fuck out of here.
Wild.
1504, and it's just been swimming around out there. This is why we shouldn't swim in the ocean, you guys.
I mean,
Is it
you
why we
wouldn't really
shouldn't?
swim in the Arctic? So that's fine.
Yeah.
If the Arctic even exists.
You wouldn't do that.
No, I sure
Funny.
wouldn't.
That's insane. And like, of course, I'm looking at pictures of the fighters coming up for the next card on November 5th. And like, look at Neil Magny, who is probably our age, if not a couple of years younger. I would guess.
I think he's close to my age.
And he
Are you
looks
just zooming in on his forehead?
he
Jesus.
just looks beat. How old is Neil Magny? I have to know now. Neil Magny.
The Haitian sensation.
That's a pretty great nickname.
Yeah, you should just be able to go to
It's
his
okay.
profile.
Yeah,
I mean, it rhymes, so I'm good with that.
He's 35.
35.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
34.
August 3rd, 1987.
Ah, yeah, 35.
He's been fighting for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's
But,
usually
like-
like the shelf life for a fighter.
Yeah. This guy is not going to live 200 years.
No.
No,
Mm.
definitely not.
And now it's time for the Pretty Neat Podcast picks.
Oh, well, that was a fun.
Do you think he
dive.
beats Daniel Rodriguez?
That's going to be a fun fight, man.
It's
So,
also pick him.
yeah, I mean, jumping into the picks, and the odds reflect that pick 'em, and they're
Quick
13 and
turnaround
14.
for Daniel Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, good call. But
Super
obviously his
quick.
fight with the Leech was not
Physically taxing. Yeah.
physically taxing or damaging
Mhm,
whatsoever.
mhm.
I
Dude,
don't know who wins that fight.
No, don't lean anyone one way or the other right now.
No.
I think Neil Magny pulls it out. Daniel Rodriguez,
Mm-hmm.
he's got one avenue of victory, right? That's just volume pressure. I think where Neil Magny can mix it up a little bit more, get in the clinch game, take it down.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in the
he
same
from,
boat.
Is he from around here?
Neil Magny?
No, Daniel Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think he fights or he bases himself out of
Should be San Diego or
It says Syndicate MMA, which is
Syndicate.
in
Vegas.
Yeah, Syndicate is in Vegas.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
However, I do think you're right. I think he's from here.
Yeah, he's part owner of Tradecraft Farms, which is a recreational cannabis company that has a lot of shops in California, and he goes to the San Diego one quite regularly.
He's
That's
from
like-
Alhambra.
Oh, okay. So he's from LA.
Okay. Alhambra's in Orange County.
I like it. I really like Daniel Rodriguez, but I'm where Ryan is on this one. Especially because Daniel's got to come all the way down to the weight this time, right? He's got to go all the way to 170. Last time he got to stop a little bit early. I do think he has an advantage in that since he was training for Kevin Holland, Magny's got similar reach and like kind of lankiness to his game, but Magny's not a striker like Holland is, and he's going to want to deploy a different game. There's going to be takedowns. I think this will go to a decision. Personally, a hard fought one for Neil, but unanimous most likely. But Daniel's got that cool power. If Daniel's getting it done, he's finishing it probably early by KO. Like he'll probably have to put Neil out.
Yeah, I like it by decision for Magny. And guys, I was wrong. Alhambra is not in Orange County. It's in LA County.
It's borderline Orange LA though, isn't it?
I don't know. I actually looked it up because I doubted myself and I was like, yep, I'm wrong.
How do you get there? Well, you hop on the 405 and then you go
On the
north up
freeway.
to shit. Hey, Chase Sherman is fighting again. He's fun.
In a heavyweight name matchup against the Frenchman.
Yeah, the non-French Josh
Non-French,
Parisian.
the
What did we
American
come up
Josh
with his
Parisian.
nickname?
The not from Paris
I
Parisian.
didn't. I thought we had a nickname for him. Maybe I'm wrong.
Did we? I mean, I do like alliteration. He kind of looks like he would be the pudgy Parisian.
Hmm.
Oh, I like that. Or Punch Out. Josh Punch
The-
Out Parisian.
Parisian Punisher.
Now Chase can't be Chase the Dream. Because
He has a nickname, doesn't he? The Vanilla Gorilla. Yeah.
Yep, yeah, which is a
That's-
fantastic.
Which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Wasn't Darren Till? I mean, he's just the gorilla, but I felt like he was something comparable for a time.
Gorillas are so cool. I feel like we need to be really, really careful with how we use them in nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
lessen their coolness.
And I won't be a part of that. I won't.
Yeah. I hear
here
you.
for that.
We also have Tajir Ulanbekov and Nate Maness.
What kind of fighting style does Ulanbekov have, do you think?
Hmm.
Also, he's obviously a fucking AI generated character. Look at his face.
Yes. Several nozzles were just like turned all the way up or turned
The
all the way
thing,
down.
the thing that the kids say now is they call everyone an NPC,
Okay.
and it's an insult. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's an NPC.
Wow. That's not dehumanizing at all and concerning.
They'll just be like, "Oh yeah, everyone's just being an NPC." Like if they all dress the same or whatever, which is all of them.
That's hilarious.
And then I sent a kid on an errand for me the other day, and she came back. You know, because you can't let most of them leave, right? There's a select few that you can trust that will actually come back. And so I sent one girl to pick up something from a different room across campus, and she came back with the wrong thing. And this kid's like, "Oh, you failed the side quest." And I'm like, "Hey, I love video games as much as the next guy, but let's stop pretending they're real life, you know?"
That's pretty amazing.
But I thought it was funny that he said that.
That was the recommended name for our app for a period of time.
Side
Dude,
quest?
how is Grant Dawson that big
don't
of a
hate that.
favorite against Mark O. Madsen?
Yo, I'm kind of was wondering that too for a few seconds. I actually got Grant Dawson in this one.
For real? I mean,
Yeah. Mark Madsen, I mean, they're
break that
both
down for
aggressive.
me.
Mark Madsen, Olympic grappler, Olympic wrestler, right? Or at least close to it. Where was he from? Like Denmark. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
looking
he's
right
from
at
Denmark.
it.
He was a silver medalist in the Olympics.
Yeah, and I mean, but that thus far that's his 12 wins. That's all he's shown. Is that.
He has
And-
three TKOs and a submission and 3
Yeah,
submissions.
bro, look at their significant strides. These guys' stats are like really similar. So reach is the same. They're going to be fighting potentially
what?
inside each other for foot position because they have Grant Dawson listed
what
as a
she said.
switch stance. But their significant strikes 3.17 for Grant Dawson, 3.77 for Marco Madsen. Takedown average with Grant Dawson, right? 3.97. Marco Madsen 3.90. Here's the difference. Marco Madsen's takedown accuracy, basically 2 out of 3. Whereas Grant Dawson is 1 out of 3. But it looks like he's doing more submissions when he gets it to the ground.
I don't know.
It's gonna be whoever gets it to the ground, whoever has top position.
Yeah. You know what? You might be right. This might just be a race. And that could be a good thing for the fans. You know, this has the what's weird is this is all the ingredients for a 3-round war. Right? Which to me, but because of what you just said, really makes me feel like who's going to get there first. And I think they're going to light each other up and somebody's going to go to sleep like real fast.
Really? Yeah, you can see that, especially when Grant Dawson could switch to a southpaw stance.
He's got great knees too. Grant Dawson has great knees.
I love me some excellent knees.
Good
Right?
kicks.
It's really shapely.
You just don't want to have skinny knees.
Yeah.
Shout out Teddy Bridgewater.
John Jones knees. Yeah. And Miranda Maverick's coming back on the prelims. Mario Batista, Benito Lopez is going to be fun. I felt like there was another one on here that looked really good, but maybe I'm thinking about 281.
It's an ultimately unspectacular fight card that seems like it could be lined up against game 6 of the World Series. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see how Bryce and Masvar would have been a good headline for this.
Yeah, for sure. That changes it substantially.
Which now they're on like the prelims for 282.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're listed as the opener for the pay-per-view.
Okay.
Ooh,
And it's
that makes sense.
Ilya Tupuria. I don't know where you got Masvar from.
They were originally
It was
scheduled
supposed to
fight.
be. Most
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So-
Evelev, because he got hurt.
Yeah.
So they Askar Askarov no longer with the UFC. Apparently, he requested it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did you see that? Like on the Brett Okamoto's tweet
Yeah.
that he had a medical issue, which is why he
Mhm.
didn't fight on October 15th, and then basically asked for his release. And they
Yeah.
said, sure.
Why not? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
talented, awesome guy, but name value's not really there yet. And I mean, like we talked about him being a top contender for months, and we still kind of had to remember who he fought already. Like,
Well,
Then
I
he lost
thought-
to Kai Car France.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. What Dom said. Like, I think we all were in agreement. Like, he could be the next guy to fight, and then Kai Car France went in there and just beat him.
yeah. Oh, and the main event, we should talk about that.
Why?
Mar-
It's
right.
a Brazilian on Brazilian crime here.
Yeah.
Now, here's a
Number
interesting
3 and
thing,
number
right?
7. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a similar story, right? That I just mentioned about Grant Dawson and Marco Madsen about their styles.
They're
Similar
bangers.
in height, same reach. They're going to be fighting for inside foot position as Lemos fights southpaw. They're very similar in significant strikes landed. Lemos has a higher accuracy. She also does more takedowns in the fights, and she has better takedown accuracy.
Way more takedowns.
Yeah, Marina, like she's gonna want to keep her distance for sure.
Mhm.
I would love to see ESPN list takedown defense as one of the metrics here, but
If I'm wrong, let me know. Rodriguez is more of the kickboxer
correct.
in this one as well. And I mean, when it's southpaw, she's orthodox as well, if I recall correctly.
She is.
Yeah.
And I
She's
mean, when
Muay
you
Thai is her background.
when you get that combo, we should see a lot of body kicks, right? But with that is a lot of opportunity for catching kicks and takedowns from Lemos.
That's what I'm saying,
So-
right? You got that inside foot versus inside foot. If she's gonna
Yeah.
throw leg kicks, Lemos can definitely put herself in a position to catch and or use that to clinch and
Mhm.
potentially like an inside trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know, you know.
Can she put Marina down? Actually I do kind of see this being a Lemos fight myself, moving up the ranks. And I think it'll probably be that 5 rounds to a decision. I do think that it will be hers to just repeatedly take down, get a good position, do some work, and
Maybe.
let her. I don't know.
This is, you know, to the point that you're making, Aaron, which you're making quite well and very articulate. The only loss that Marina Rodriguez has is to a wrestler, Carla Esparza, back in 2020. She lost it was a split decision and it was only a 3-round fight, but she lost that fight. And if Amanda Lemos presents a similar type of style, right, or game plan, she could find herself winning.
Yeah.
Now, since then, she's beaten everybody. I mean, Michelle Watterson, love her, right? Karate Hottie, great nickname, right? If we're talking about nicknames, but
Mhm.
she's not a 115 fighter. When she was the best is when she fought Invicta at 105, right? Atom weight. She's not a
Mhm.
115er. Mackenzie
Atom
Dern,
weight.
we've seen she
Yeah.
cannot take people down. She would rather try and pull guard or see
Yep.
if she can strike with people. And then Yan Xiaonan, I remember that fight because I thought Yan won
Yeah.
that, but she ended up being on the losing side for a split decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you look at Lemos. I mean, she hasn't lost since no, that's not Evans Smith. No.
She just lost to Jessica Andrade in April.
Who?
Lemos.
Amanda Lemos?
Oh
Yeah.
yes, she did to submission in the first. Yep. Yeah. And then she beat Michelle Watterson as she was supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, like, Michelle Waterson's good, but she, to her nickname, has that karate style. You're not doing a lot of damage with that. You're kind of point fighting.
Yeah, she does. Mm-hmm. Lemos is violent.
Yeah, I mean, she's last 5 fights. She won by sub. She lost by sub. Angela Hill, that's a good fight. That's a split decision win. Then KO. But again, like that's lesser competition.
Mm-hmm. And she's not going to be able to hit Marina, I think.
Probably not as cleanly, unless it's going to be one of those like crazy exchanges where you're just going to find somebody potentially out of position.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's definitely not like, I don't think any of us would say like, this is what we would consider to be main event worthy. And I don't mean to throw any shade on either Marina or Amanda, but 3 versus
highest
7,
ranks,
women's strawweight bout. Yeah, I can see that as a marquee matchup. Definitely like co-main on a fight night. But this is a victim of circumstance, right? Because this was supposed to be the Ilya fight with Bryce Mitchell, and it just just move everything up. Essentially, is what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's honestly, like, I love having fights almost every single Saturday, but when something goes awry, the fights become much thinner. Like Bryce Mitchell versus Ilya Topuria, that's a great fight night main event.
Oh yeah.
But when that goes away, and you're like, okay, well, this has maybe some consequence. If Marina wins in dominant fashion, she could find herself with a potential number 1 contenders bout potentially in the strawweight division. But other than that, you're like,
here's the problem. Here? Go back, Aaron.
Yeah.
Look at the next couple of fight nights. No, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So you have Derek Lewis, and Wonderboy Thompson, and Kevin Holland. Jared Cannonier, Sean Strickland is a banger on a. So you like, there is propensity to put out. I mean, we had fucking Cheeto Vera, Dominic Cruz on a fight night headliner. So it is tough. It's no shade at Rodriguez or Lemos. It's just that this isn't a main event fight. It's not even that you can't have a women's main event. You totally can. It's just a matter of the right women, and this just isn't it. So.
No, especially with like strawweight, it's Carla Esparza, Zhang Wei Li, and Thug Rose, and then these two. So it's like, I mean, and those 3 up there are in such a war that, like, where's the new blood gonna flow in, and like, will it be interesting?
Right.
Like, who knows? But like Ryan was saying too about having fights every Saturday, as well as when something does get fucked up, this week. What if Bryce Mitchell and Ilya, are top contenders, and now, featherweight we don't see a reasonable featherweight top contender championship belt for another year because of like a 2-month delay, right? So it sucks when stuff like that happens. I'm glad that there's still they somehow still managed to put 12 fights together to put on Saturday.
Call up some locals from Syndicate, like, hey, are you in the wait?
Do you want to bang, as it were? What do they say? Let me bang.
Let me bang, bro.
Oh, man.
You could even, I mean, so do we think that maybe the winner of this fights Rose for the number 1 contender spot?
I think that's feasible.
After Carla loses?
Definitely after Carla loses to Zhang. Which seems like an inevitability at this point in time.
Certainly feels like it.
Zhang is inevitable. Yeah, what the fuck was I gonna say?
Yeah, I think that
would just be a better headlining women's fight, is all I'm saying. You can totally do it. We could talk for 45 minutes about that fight, and we happily would. And again, it's not their fault. This was supposed to be the co-main, which it's interesting. It's certainly like a fight that's needed given the rankings. So
next year we'll have a fight night that's probably headlined by Thug Rose and one of them.
You think she's dropped all the way to fight night headliner?
No, that's the thing. She's still probably a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This is what I was going to say. Imagine you're like the biggest Bryce Mitchell fan, which, Aaron, I know you are.
I love Bryce Mitchell.
And you love Bryce Mitchell. I think he's great. And I know
Yeah.
that Ilia Topuria is an exciting fighter.
Yeah.
And when there's beef, right, he fights with a lot of malice, which is obviously entertaining for a spectator such as myself and such as both of you. Now, hypothetically, like, all right, this is where we're going to spend the cash to go to the Apex and watch these live.
Yes.
And then you
Mitchell
find out a
Topuria?
week later,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, this fight got moved to UFC 282. Are those tickets refundable?
Ooh.
I would probably ask for it, to be honest.
Right. 'Cause
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
imagine the experience, and we've talked about this previously, being able to go to the be able to go to see the fights in the Apex. You got that all exclusive, all access type of access to everything.
Yeah. Like I
And
would go
then-
to Lewis and Spivak. That's at the Apex. I'd go to a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how that ends. Sergey takes him down and beats the shit out of him.
I think that's definitely possible.
It's definitely possible.
If Sergey's wise enough to get in there fast enough, yeah.
I'm actually going to Vegas the day after that. That's funny. But Ryan, to your point, the tickets for an Apex event, which come with a lot of stuff, are
Mhm.
like what? Between $800 and $1,200? Is that what we figured?
Yeah, they start around 12.
Okay. For this card, except that it's Mitchell and Topuria or Mitchell Ivalov, that to me feels like money well spent. But
Yeah.
the second that one fight comes off there, it's
Yeah.
it's very different. It's very, very different. You'd still have a fun time. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel nearly as good about dropping that kind of money on one ticket at that rate. So
No. I was looking at UFC 281 because that's coming up as well. And I mean, we always like to talk about big cards a couple of weeks in advance. One of the things and we were just talking about Carla Esparza, Zhang Wei Li. That's next week. Hey, that's awesome. Week from Saturday at MSG.
MSG.
I mean, there's some great fucking fights on here. One of the things that I thought was interesting was Molly McCann, Meatball, is fighting on this card, while Patty is fighting on 282 on December 10th, a month later. And
I'm
it's
okay
like
with that.
the first time they haven't fought on a card together in
I
like
don't need them to
years.
fight on a card together.
I think they'll be in each other's corners and probably do really well.
Who cares? Speaking of people, I am just all the way out on Patty Pimblett.
I look forward to everything he's doing.
Well, and that's the thing though, is that he's so polarizing. So it's like, all right, I'm totally out on him. I hope who's he fighting? It's Jalen. No, it's not Jalen Turner. I was about to say he'd get crushed.
God, I'd be excited for that fight.
Jordan something.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
go to
the prospect. Because we said this, or I believe I said this a few weeks ago. His
Jared
next
Gordon.
fight is it Jared Gordon? Okay,
It is.
It's a different
Flash.
All right, this is a different matchup.
Jared Flash Gordon.
Which is that's also a great nickname.
Mhm.
I thought he was being matched up with somebody who had like won all of his fights via finish, which would have made it for a very exciting contest. Now, Jared Gordon, just looking at it, or looking way, way ahead. Significant. He throws more.
He throws more. He absorbs more, and his defense is worse. And that's not who you want to be against.
Defense
Patty
is
Pimblett.
better.
Oh yeah, yes. I had that backwards in my head.
Yeah.
But Patty has that additional wrinkle to his game where he can find submission once he goes to the ground.
Yep.
Patty also makes considerably more money outside of the octagon than in the octagon. So
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't need to play the UFC's game. And it's weird because I've come the complete other way on Sean O'Malley, who I think is just fucking great. I'm just out on the Patty Pimblett experience.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. UFC 281 though. I wish Patty was on this one.
So there's this narrative now where a number of MMA talking head personalities don't think Pereira is going to be any sort of challenge for Israel Adesanya.
What is that?
And in fact, the show I was listening to, which I'm not going to name, said that Whitaker, Cannonier, Vettori, who is the Paulo Costa, none of them are trouble for him. But like all of them just take him down and dominate him. And I'm like, did you watch him just annihilate Sean Strickland? What are you talking about? Like he doesn't have enough experience. Okay. Does he look like the kind of guy who's worried about that?
Are we overvaluing Sean Strickland, or are these people just,
these
undervaluing his impact, right, with his striking?
These people are fucking nuts. Like
I think they're drinking the Izzy Kool-Aid.
He lost his first fight, and that's it. Like, I mean, and I believe he got submitted. Like, he lost his first fight, and he's grown ever since then. And he's won by submission. He's won by knockout. He's won by decision. The dude's as well-rounded as it can get, and he's frankly too good of a kickboxer for anyone in the UFC.
He is landing at 15+% more accuracy for significant strikes and almost 1.75 times more.
He's throwing closer to 2 more significant strikes per minute than Izzy.
Yeah.
And is landing 6.9 to Izzy's 3.9, 6.29 to Izzy's 3.93.
The only thing they could think is, well,
almost
a counter striker.
70% significant strike accuracy. That is, what are you talking about that Izzy doesn't have any trouble with him?
Nah, and I've noticed what you're talking about, Dom. Like there's a couple of outlets that really are framing this as like Israel should not have any problems.
Yeah.
And I do not understand where it's coming from. Alex is totally the biggest threat he has ever faced.
Oh, yeah.
And when despite Robert Whitaker's very, very dominant performance over Vettori most recently, despite that, the Alex Pereira that fought Sean Strickland would beat that Robert Whitaker. Like that Alex Pereira was too on point, was too accurate, and stuns people. And that's what happens to Robert Whitaker too, is he gets clocked and it puts him down. It's how Adesanya beat him. And I think Alex Pereira is gonna Adesanya, frankly. So, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I like Alex Pereira spicing up middleweight. So,
do you think there's any potential for an added wrinkle because he trains with Glover Teixeira that he might try to take Israel down?
If he does, Israel is in so much trouble.
If he shows that wrinkle, that'd be wild.
We've seen him really struggle with guys who can take him down. And the problem that he has with Pereira that he did not have with a guy like Whitaker is Whitaker is a solid, 4 inches shorter?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pereira is the same height. Like that's a real problem for him. Pereira, they're basically physically exactly the same. Pereira is probably a little thicker.
And Pereira has a better jiu-jitsu game, as far as I can tell. That's from what I've seen, and I've watched all 7 of his fights. So I think this is scary for Israel, and I'm excited that it's at Madison Square Garden, main event. That's the right place for this fight.
It also has fight of the year written all over it.
It totally can. It definitely can.
And there's also a real chance one of them absolutely starches the other with a head kick or something 30 seconds into the fight.
And it could be totally and maybe not an Leon Edwards Usman situation, maybe not like that, but it could be a really good war 2-2 going into the 5th round, and then the head kick knockout. Right. And it's like, well, now nobody feels like there's resolution because they could do that same fight again. And it's the other person getting the head kick,
Yep. I agree.
Shit like that. Although I think it would be more likely to be a slobber knocker, like, a jab, a stun, put it to the ground, TKO.
Maybe. I mean, Adesanya doesn't really play the exchange game, right? He's not in there looking to get into a punching match with you.
No.
So and the line is real close too. Adesanya -170 to Pereira's +145. I'm all over that +145.
Yeah. And speaking of fight of the year, I mean, I think of Joanna and Zhang Wei Li.
Oh, can we get over that? I mean,
Carla
come
and
on.
Carla and Zhang Wei Li could be very exciting. However, Carla is like the mute button on the remote, frankly. This could be a 25 minutes of absolute boredom with Carla retaining as
Think
well.
so?
I don't think Zhang
I don't
allows
think
that
so.
to happen.
Nah, I don't really either. I can't.
When
see
have we seen her give us 25 minutes of boredom?
We haven't, but I mean, she is a pressure and control person. She doesn't really look for subs that much, and
No. Yeah,
hasn't
I
really
don't
looked
think
for
this goes the
TKO.
distance. I think
No.
Whaley stops her.
I'm leaning that way myself. And Carla's been stopped before. So yeah. And we also get I mean, well, Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler is probably I'm not even gonna say the people's main event because that is Israel and Alex.
Yeah.
But
This could be your fight of the night.
this I
It
think
for
could be fight of
sure
the
could.
night.
This for sure
Yeah.
could be a fight of the night.
Their advanced stats are so similar.
Mhm.
They're
This
like
has-
borderline identical.
This has Gaethje Chandler 2 written all over it.
I mean, they look to take everybody down the same. Their takedown accuracy is the same. Their sub average attempts are the same. Their significant strikes are differing by essentially
A margin of error.
4/10
Yeah.
of a point.
Yeah.
There's a slight edge in striking accuracy to Poirier. Yeah, I'm all over this. This is another fight. I've been really intrigued now with like Southpaw versus Orthodox and how they use their lead hand, because you get a lot of opportunity for counter strikes when you do that. So obviously Poirier the Southpaw and Chandler fighting Orthodox or listed as Orthodox. I'm interested to see how they use their counters, right, to really pump up the action in that fight.
Yeah,
Do you have an early pick?
I like Poirier,
I lean Chandler.
and we know where Dom's leaning.
If all bias aside, I love Michael Chandler. I love Dustin Poirier too, though. I'm a huge Dustin Poirier fan. So it will be interesting to see, because he really didn't look competitive against Charles. We haven't seen him in a while. We also, when was the last time we saw him fight someone who brings the straight up fight right to your face the way that Michael Chandler does?
Connor
the second time.
Yeah. Connor the
But
second time.
Even then, Connor is a counterpuncher, and Michael Chandler is like, I mean, he says that I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I don't get paid by the minute. Let's get this thing over with, one way or the other, right? So
yeah, Ryan, you might be able to attest to this with me. Dustin Poirier reminds me a lot stylistically of Pitbull from Bellator. And Chandler and Pitbull had some wars, which Chandler came out on top of. And I mean, if Pitbull wasn't in the UFC, which he frankly could be, I'd still be leaning towards Chandler. I just think Chandler's gonna have too much aggression. I really do.
it's gonna be for me. It's gonna come down to Poirier, to me, slightly more gonna rely on his accuracy, and Chandler is gonna be more of a volume plus power guy. And it's which one is gonna come through first.
Yeah, I think that's a very, I like that. I like how you put that. Whoever's going to get to the end of their game plan first, accuracy on the counter strike or just the volume and being able to break through. I was looking at Poirier's like last 5 fights, right? Lost to Oliveira, sub round 3. Then it was the doctor stoppage against Connor. Then prior to that, KO versus Connor.
Almost got knocked out in the first round in that fight, though.
Almost. You're 100% accurate. Then he won a unanimous decision against Dan Hooker.
Boy, that has aged poorly.
I know.
Yep.
And then prior to that, he lost versus Khabib, where he got rear naked choked in the third round as well.
Yeah. And he won it. He won the belt off of Holloway before that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was for the interim strap. He beat Holloway on a unanimous decision. That was Holloway's first or only, I should say, move up to 155. And that was a great fight.
Didn't Holloway didn't Dustin kind of toss the belt and say, I want the real one?
He did. He threw it on the ground.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I mean, if you don't remember, this is back in 2018. He knocked out Eddie Alvarez. Then he knocked out Justin Gaethje. Then he knocked out Anthony Pettis.
Yeah.
Then it was a no contest against Eddie Alvarez. Then he beat Jim Miller. His last loss prior to that was Michael Johnson, first round KO, where, to your point, could somebody just overwhelm him with a volume of strikes and break through and just get him?
Yeah.
It's possible. But now we're going back. We're going back like 5-6 years. So
yeah. So I think present day, like post that Max Holloway fight, we have not seen him face anyone even close to what Michael Chandler brings. The best victory on there is either Conor the second time, but from 2021, and then or Justin Gaethje. I mean, Michael Chandler's only had 3 UFC fights. So
4 or 5. Yeah. These guys
he's had 4. He's had 4. So he beat Hooker round 1.
Yeah.
He lost to Oliveira. KO.
Damn near beat him. We have to say it. Damn near beat him. Other refs would have stopped it.
Yep. Then he lost in a fight of the night to Gaethje.
Yep.
Where they were both like just winging punches.
Yes, they were.
And then he front kicked Tony Ferguson's face off.
Into the 6th dimension. I do not think that Dustin Poirier can keep up with Chandler in a Gaethje style fight. And I don't think that will be his game plan. But
No, I don't think so.
He cannot do that. That will end very poorly for him. We haven't really seen Dustin Poirier's chin tested, I guess. And we're going to see it tested. The loss to Khabib, you don't really hold. Everyone loses Khabib. It's fine.
Right.
Michael Chandler is going to find out if your chin can take it or not.
Yep. Yeah, he is. And the thing I love about this fight and why it's really fight of the night contenders, these two guys are like consummate professionals.
Yes.
These two guys are going to train and sharpen every tool and they have to game plan for one another. And like you have both said, and I'll nail the coffin shut or whatever. It's whoever executes their plan first, because they're both going to really have an equal opportunity to do it and probably be equal in defense.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because like a completely healthy, locked in Conor is a nightmare matchup for Dustin Poirier. We just don't ever see that anymore. Michael Chandler is such a different ball of wax than that is. It will be interesting to see. Also, ESPN has him listed at 5'8". I don't think he's 5'8".
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, he's like 5'6".
Yeah, and I don't know that Poirier is quite 5'9", but I do think Poirier is taller. Again, I'm a big fan of both of them. They're both like good dads. They've got like their eyes on other stuff. Poirier gave all that money to the favelas in Brazil, right? Like Chandler has adopted 2 kids, which I think is amazing. Like there's just also Chandler's wife is, I mean, my God. So, I don't know. It's just, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. And we're saying bye to Frankie Edgar. Most likely. He said it's his last one. Madison Square Garden, going out in his backyard. I hope he goes out on a win.
Man, you know what? Dustin Poirier is doing okay for himself in the wife department too, in case either of you were wondering.
Doesn't
carry on.
me. Man, just other good loaded card. Good
wasn't what's his name?
Carlos Ulberg is back.
No,
the city kickboxing supermodel.
Wasn't Frankie Edgar supposed to retire last time?
Yeah, but he lost violently, remember?
And so, yeah, to Cheeto. So do we think he's going to win? Is that the story here?
He's 41, fighting at bantamweight.
Yeah.
It's tough. That's
So is that a no, or what are we talking about?
It's a tough look. His last two fights have been KOs. Marlon Vera also kicked his face off.
Yep.
And then Corey Sandhagen knocked his head off.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Well, I wish him the best, and I hope it's just not life altering any further.
Ooh,
But shit, man, we'll talk more about this card next week.
so much in this.
There's
card.
so much to talk about. We'll have World Series champs by then, right?
I don't know. This is just game 3 today.
Yeah.
So we should have a champ by next week. There was a point in time where Frankie Edgar beat BJ Penn in back-to-back fights.
And the Gray Maynard.
April
Jeez,
and
the
August
Gray
2010,
Maynard.
and Benson Henderson, although he lost to him. I used to run into BJ Penn at the Safeway in Newport Beach. I'm not joking about that. I'm being 100% honest. I haven't talked about that here.
No, that's random.
Yeah. So there was a stretch of time, and I think we're going to do it next summer, where my in-laws would rent a beach house in Newport, which is just it's a party for everyone. The whole amount of time you're there, we go for about a week. And there's it's a nice Safeway, like right on the main drag in Balboa there. And my father-in-law and I are looking at the various alcohol, and a guy walks by and my father-in-law goes, "I think that's BJ Penn." And I'm like, "That is BJ Penn. Cool." And, that's kind of the end of that story. But the point is, I saw the guy. Saw him a couple times. Yeah.
Call up my buddy who's an expert on cool stories.
Who's that?
I'm just kidding. We met, quote unquote. We've worked with Dan Henderson
A number of times.
a
Yeah.
couple of times. He's a good guy.
Super nice guy.
Another one of those people who's shorter than you expect in person, but also like, I think like maybe the first or probably the second time I had met him, I'd become more familiar with his library. And when you're talking to somebody who like knocked out Fedor Emelianenko, it's like there's two people on this planet who have done what you've done. It's like meeting the Neil Armstrong. It's practically the same.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool.
Because
I helped at work one day. I helped Tarek Safadine before Strikeforce ended, and it was
I don't know who that is. Yeah.
He beat Nate Marquardt for the final welterweight Strikeforce belt, and he trained in Temecula, and I helped him at work a few times, and he's a good dude. His
Tony
wife
Hawk was probably the biggest I think either of us ever talked to.
Yeah, Tony Hawk is a tall dude.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Warren G. We used to run into him.
Yeah,
I still do. I see him
Tyrese.
at the grocery store near me all the time.
Yeah, he lives out there. He
Mhm.
lives closer to you guys than he
Mhm.
does. Surprising. Who's it? Nick Cannon also. Like his whole family lives in Canyon Lake.
Yeah,
So he's
Tyrese.
out
We'd
there
run
all the
into
time.
him.
Weird.
Terrell Davis, Denver Broncos running back.
Yeah. Dave Mustaine.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty fun, man. Megadeth. That's silly. How the topics get shifted. I advise everybody who is listening to this podcast to rate and comment it wherever you get your podcasts, because that helps support us. So really go do that, or go to thepretyneatpodcast.com, click the mailbag, send us your questions. Oftentimes we would respond. So send that.
Oftentimes.
Yeah, hit us
Yeah,
up on
we're due for a
Instagram.
mailbag episode, I think.
Yeah, we probably should. So send the questions over. And as Dom said, or likes to say when I do this type of stuff, not only should you rate it, comment on all the platforms, tell a friend. You know, get out there, spread the word, join the fellowship, talk about UFC and other pretty neat stuff with us. We enjoy the shit out of it. What should we go out on
I think
this fine November 1st?
Tell a Friend 2024.
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
2024.
Yeah, you know why I love MMA so much? It's pretty neat. His dad is 100%
true, but it's also because it brings us together. You know what? Violence really does bring people together. Yes, let's get back